Welcome back to Mysterious Universe, where we uncover the secrets that the stars still whisper. If you're someone who stares at the night sky and feels like it's hiding something, you're in the right place. But tonight is different, because just beyond the orbit of Jupiter, something ancient just woke up. A lonely comet, drifting in the deep dark like a frozen ghost of the early solar system, has suddenly erupted, not once, but 4 times in less than 48 hours. And with each eruption, it grew almost 300 times brighter. No impact, no collision, no warning. Just an explosive display of icy fire from a place where sunlight barely touches, and where time itself seems to sleep. Its name? 29P, Schwarzmann-Wachmann. Not exactly poetic, but what it's doing has astronomers stunned, and maybe, just maybe, we should be too. This isn't just another dusty rock with a tail. 29P is what scientists call a cryovolcanic comet, a cold volcano in the void, one that doesn't erupt with lava, but with methane, ammonia, and frozen water, spraying the cosmos with ancient secrets that haven't seen light for billions of years. So the real question isn't what happened, it's why now? What did this comet just reveal, and what else is waiting to erupt out there in the silence? In today's journey, we'll explore the strange life of 29P, the mysterious explosions, and the even stranger signals picked up by the James Webb Space Telescope, including a galaxy so bizarre it might rewrite how we think the universe was born. So before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and if this kind of cosmic mystery excites you, leave us a comment. What do you think is really going on out there? Because once we start, there's no turning back from the gravity of curiosity. Between the orbits of Jupiter and Neptune, in a region of space where sunlight weakens and shadows thicken, a silent traveler circles the sun. It does not blaze like other comets, nor does it streak across the sky with the drama of a cosmic firework. Instead, it lurks, steady, cold, and unpredictable. This is 29P Schwarzmann-Wachmann, a name almost as enigmatic as the body it belongs to. Roughly 37 miles across, it's more than double the size of Mount Everest, and yet moves like a ghost, its surface cloaked in ice and ancient dust. For decades, it has orbited in this strange calm, until November 2, 2024, when something inside it snapped. Without a whisper of warning, it erupted in a burst of frozen fury, not once but 4 times in under 48 hours. These weren't minor disturbances. The explosions were so intense that the comet became almost 300 times brighter, flaring up in the dark like a distant distress signal. No asteroid impact, no gravitational jolt. Just a cosmic awakening that left scientists staring at their instruments in awe, and asking the one question that space always seems to answer with silence. Why now? Comet 29P is not like the others. Most comets spend years, sometimes centuries, wandering through the frozen reaches of the solar system in elongated orbits, only becoming active as they dive toward the sun. But 29P stays put, tracing a near-circular path just beyond Jupiter, locked in a region where solar warmth barely touches. This alone defies expectations. But what truly bewilders astronomers is its behavior. Unlike ordinary comets that flare up in response to heat, 29P erupts at random. No cycle, no pattern, just sudden outbursts, like breaths from a slumbering beast deep underground. These are no simple emissions of vapor and dust. 29P. Space 29 is a cryovolcanic comet, a term that sounds like science fiction, but is rooted in one of the universe's stranger truths. Beneath its crust lie cryovolcanos, cold volcanoes that don't spit lava but jets of methane, ammonia, and carbon dioxide. When pressure builds, the crust fractures and erupts, hurling clouds of icy debris into the vacuum. These eruptions form a glowing halo called a coma, which can swell to thousands of kilometers wide, creating a shimmering mask of mystery around the nucleus. But the strangest part isn't the explosion. It's the silence before, and the questions that rise after. What makes 29P even more baffling is that no one truly understands what triggers its tantrums. It's like watching a volcano erupt on a planet we cannot touch, cannot hear, and cannot feel. Only observe from millions of miles away. Some astronomers suggest that beneath its icy shell lies a porous, fragile structure, like an ancient sponge of frozen gases and dust, that collapses and vents when internal pressures shift. Others theorize the comet's surface is layered with volatile materials, each with different melting points, creating a chaotic patchwork of instability. Perhaps a tiny crack, barely a millimeter wide, is all it takes to let sunlight seep in, warming a hidden pocket of gas until it bursts. Or maybe something even stranger is at work, an unseen interaction between the solar wind and the comet's magnetic signature, triggering pressure waves deep inside. The truth is, every theory leads to more mystery, because 29P doesn't behave like a solid, unified object. Recent observations from the James Webb Space Telescope have hinted at something extraordinary, that 29P's core may be a composite, a cluster of smaller icy bodies loosely held together by gravity, orbiting as one but behaving as many. If that's true, then each eruption might not come from a single source, but from different hearts beating under the same skin. The latest sequence of eruptions in November 2024 was not just a spectacle of light, it was a scientific alarm bell. The first outburst struck suddenly, hurling a plume of debris into space so vast that the comet's brightness surged dramatically. But before astronomers could fully process the scale of the event, a second eruption followed, then a third, and finally a fourth, all within 2 days. Each blast layered new material into the growing coma, turning the comet into a swirling, radiant phantom. Telescopes on Earth, including those operated by the British Astronomical Association, tracked the changes in real time. They reported that the cloud of material ejected reflected nearly 289 times more light than the comet's core, a luminous wave of frozen particles drifting silently into the abyss. Scientists speculated that these eruptions originated from different zones across the nucleus, each one triggered by internal instability, or perhaps interaction between contrasting chemical layers. And with every pulse of cryomagma, the shape of the coma warped and twisted, threatening to form an irregular structure unlike anything seen before. These weren't just eruptions, they were revelations, peeling back the comet's cold disguise and exposing the volatile heart beneath. In that moment, 29P became more than a curiosity. It became a message, one carved in ice, written in ancient gas, and flung across the solar system like a flare in the void. This wasn't the first time 29P had erupted in such a dramatic fashion. In fact, its history is littered with unpredictable bursts, each separated by long periods of silence and speculation. Back in September 2021, the comet surprised astronomers with a series of rapid outbursts, several explosions within a short window of time that lit up the sky and sent shockwaves through observatories around the world. Then again in November 2022, it released over 1 million tons of debris into space in a single, thunderless roar. These past events hinted at a restless nature beneath its icy shell, a slow and quiet churning that builds pressure until the comet can no longer contain it. What puzzled scientists most was the lack of consistency. Most cryovolcanic comets erupt as they approach the sun and subside as they recede. But 29P defies that rhythm. It maintains a steady orbit roughly aligned with Jupiter, never venturing much closer to the sun, yet still erupting in spontaneous and chaotic ways. It's as if the rules that govern other celestial bodies simply don't apply here, as if 29P is following an ancient script, one no one on Earth has yet deciphered. Each eruption becomes a clue, each flare a whispered sentence in a language of frost and fire, urging us to listen more carefully to what the solar system is trying to tell us. As astronomers struggled to understand the erratic behavior of 29P, they turned their gaze to one of humanity's most powerful eyes in the cosmos, the James Webb Space Telescope. Floating far beyond Earth's atmosphere, Webb became a silent witness to the comet's secrets, capturing signals invisible to ground-based observatories. And what it saw only deepened the mystery. For the first time ever, Webb detected jets of carbon dioxide erupting from 29P, plumes of frozen gas exploding outward like ghostly breath from an ancient lung. It also picked up emissions of carbon monoxide, another volatile trapped in the nucleus since the solar system's birth. These findings weren't just surprising, they were groundbreaking. Because these gases don't behave like water vapor, they react to subtle changes in heat and pressure, offering a new lens through which to understand the comet's inner life. Even more intriguing, the jets didn't all come from the same place. Instead, they emerged from different regions of the surface, suggesting that 29P might not be a single unified body at all. Perhaps it's a mosaic, a fragile collection of icy fragments held together by ancient gravity, each with its own chemical fingerprint. If that's true, then each eruption might not be a single scream, but a choir of whispers from multiple cores, each one telling a different story from a forgotten age. Yet even with all the revelations James Webb delivered, one detail stood out like a missing puzzle piece, a silence where there should have been sound. Among the cocktail of gases erupting from 29P, one expected element was curiously absent: water vapor. Most comets, even those drifting through the furthest stretches of space, shed visible traces of H2O as they warm near the sun. It's a signature trait, a calling card, an ancient memory that ties them to the very formation of planets. But 29P offers none of it. No detectable stream of water rises from its surface, no plume to mark the transitions of solid ice to mist. It's as if the comet has sealed that part of its past, or perhaps never carried it at all. This anomaly left scientists baffled. Could the surface temperatures be so staggeringly low that even water refuses to sublimate? Or is it buried beneath layers of other materials, too deep for the sun's reach, too shielded for our instruments to detect? Whatever the reason, the absence of water changes the story. It challenges the assumptions that all comets share a common origin or structure. In 29P's silence, there's a suggestion of divergence, of a path carved differently in the early chaos of the solar system. And maybe, just maybe, this comet isn't simply a relic of the past, but a reminder that the past itself may be far more varied and far more alien than we ever imagined. While Webb unraveled the icy threads of 29P, its gaze extended even farther, past the cold frontier of the solar system, beyond the scattered bones of ancient stars, into a realm where light itself is young. There, it captured the image of a galaxy so distant, so ancient, it appeared to us as it existed just 1 billion years after the Big Bang. But it wasn't the age of the galaxy that stunned scientists. It was the light. In this primeval system, the gas glowed brighter than the stars themselves, a reversal of everything astronomers expected. Normally, it's the stars that outshine the surrounding gas, illuminating the cosmos with their birth and death. But here, the roles were reversed, as if the galaxy were caught in a moment of cosmic metamorphosis, a missing link in the evolutionary tale of the universe. The gas was being bombarded with light so intense, so unrelenting, that it lit up like a beacon in the void. And the stars? They burned hotter than anything in our modern universe, some reaching 144,000 degrees Fahrenheit, twice as hot as typical stellar temperatures today. It was as if Webb had pierced a veil not just of distance, but of time itself, witnessing a brief, furious phase where galaxies were still learning how to become galaxies, where matter hadn't yet settled into the forms we now understand. It was raw, untamed creation, a glimpse into a moment before rules were written. Astronomers began to suspect that this strange glowing galaxy might represent a fleeting stage in galactic evolution, a transitional form, like a cosmic chrysalis caught between two vastly different lifetimes. It didn't contain population 3 stars, those legendary first stars born of pure hydrogen and helium, untainted by heavier elements. The data showed too much chemical complexity for that. But still, it whispered of ancient origins. Perhaps it was a descendant of galaxies that once birthed those primal suns, now blooming into something new. Or maybe it was a bridge, a missing link between the pure fire of the early universe and the structured elegance of modern galaxies like our own. The gas glowing brighter than the stars, the extreme heat, the density, it all pointed to something short-lived but immensely powerful, like watching the last flare of a match before it gives way to a steady flame. This phase, rarely caught in such clarity, may reveal how galaxies refine themselves, how chaos gives way to structure, how raw light becomes form. And as Webb continues to scan the darkness, it may find others like it. But for now, this lone galaxy stands like a monument in time, a silent witness to a universe still becoming, still shaping itself under the weight of gravity, radiation, and mystery. It is a mirror held up to the past, reflecting questions we haven't yet learned how to ask. When you step back and look at these discoveries side by side, the volatile heart of 29P and the luminous ancient galaxy, something strange happens. You begin to see patterns not in logic, but in mystery. Both are remnants and revelations. Both refuse to behave the way we expect. One erupts without cause, the other glows with a light that defies the rules of starlight. And in both, we find echoes from the beginning. 29P, a frozen wanderer from the birth of our solar system, still breathing out the volatile secrets it's carried for billions of years. And the galaxy, a snapshot of the cosmos just after it took its first breath, bursting with heat and radiation and untamed light. These are not isolated events. They are pages torn from the same book, fragments of a cosmic language still half unread. The deeper we look, the more the universe responds, not with answers but with invitations. Each comet, each galaxy, each flicker in the dark becomes a doorway. And through those doorways, we're pulled forward by something deeper than curiosity. It's the sense that we were meant to see this, that hidden in the vastness is a reflection of something we've always been reaching for. So what do we do with a comet that erupts like a ghost, and a galaxy that burns brighter than its stars? Maybe nothing. Maybe wonder is enough. But maybe not. Maybe these are not just discoveries. Maybe they are mirrors. Maybe, just maybe, the violence of 29P and the glowing defiance of that distant galaxy are both reminders that the universe is still wild, still forming, still full of stories no one has told. And we are still learning how to listen. Here on Earth, we often think of space as quiet, frozen, sterile. But nothing about 29P is quiet. Nothing about that galaxy is cold. They are alive in their own way, pulsing with forgotten energy, moving on cycles we've yet to understand. And every time a telescope captures an outburst, or a sensor detects light that's traveled for billions of years, the silence is broken, just a little. Thank you for being here, for choosing to be part of this journey. If this story moved you, if it made you feel just a little smaller and a little more alive, please subscribe, like, and leave us a comment below. What do you think is hiding out there? What questions keep you looking up at the night sky? This is Mysterious Universe, where we don't just explore space. We chase the unknown, listen to the silence, and sometimes we hear it whisper back. Until next time, keep wondering.